Hey, what's up, guys? So this is Andre or Chokinator, if you know me from my stream, and I'm going to be showing you right now what I've been working on. So you guys, a lot of you guys know about my webcomic, Super Psychic Royale. And for those of you who haven't been following my channel or my content for a long time, it is originally planned to be a fighting game with 12 characters, and I think four of them have been already introduced in the webcomic, 4 out of the 12. And this is one that I'm drawing right now. His name is Johal, and he has not yet been introduced in the comic. He's a tall, sort of Indian guy, and well, I say sort of Indian because he's definitely based on an Indian friend of mine. And well, mostly just his height and his physique, sort of a big, bulky Indian guy. However, the imaginary universe that he's set in is that doesn't actually have the country India in it. It's imaginary countries. But I try to, I did a lot of world building for this story, and so he has his little origin story. And he wants to be a movie star. That's sort of his dream. But he's actually very poor. Started out very poor, but he is an Esper. So a lot of the Espers in the story have like really nice lives already because they use their powers and they're able to make a living off of it, or they can just do whatever they want because they have superpowers. But this guy, he's sort of a humble guy and got into a lot of stuff when he was young. I don't want to get too into it because I just want to save his story for the webcomic once we get into it. Once we get into a story, but it might take a really long time to get into a story, and I just kind of want to introduce you to him visually at least. So what I'm drawing here right now actually is the sprite for the fighting game. I guess you can't really call it a sprite. Well, it kind of is a sprite because this is what's going to be animated for the fighting game. This is going to be his idle pose. So what's his superpower? So his Esper power, his psychic power, is that he can change the weight of things. It's a little bit of gravity manipulation, but not really gravity. It's just like the weight or the mass of things, or maybe even the density of things. A lot of these powers are not super like refined when it comes to like the physics of them, but I think it's okay to have that suspension of disbelief, that sort of non-concrete imaginativeness that you can sort of interpret the powers sometimes. I just want to keep the ideas nice and loose, and maybe as we get deeper into the story, maybe get a little bit more specific about them. But that's what he does. So he likes to play some sports like bowling because bowling balls are heavy, and he likes to make the bowling ball a little bit lighter so he can throw it more easily. Stuff like that. So what I really like about him is as far as like how I design him in the fighting game, he's a big guy, but we want him to be sort of two archetypes at the same time. We want him to be both a grappler and a projectile user, because it just kind of makes sense. Like, you can throw light things or you can throw heavy things, but he can make them really light, so he can throw them quickly and then change them to something heavy again after they already have the momentum. Also, as a grappler, like if he were to throw a person, he could make them really light and throw them really high, or make them really heavy and slam them onto the ground. Like if he were to manipulate like his own weight, he could just jump really high, or he could like lunge and dash really far. He would have to use less energy. I don't know. Like, there's a lot of things you could do with that, and also maybe he would also be able to like manipulate his opponent's movement. Like if they were to try to jump, they wouldn't be able to jump as high, or maybe they would jump too high because they would become light. I really want to make his playstyle about the manipulation of light and heavy. And I think it's pretty unique, a unique mechanic in a fighting game. And I'm not the programmer, so we might run into some problems, executing the idea. But it's the idea that matters. And I think for all these characters, it's going to be all about establishing a playstyle that I want for them, and figuring out along the way how we can get that character to express their superpower and that playstyle in the game. I think a lot of times it's the idea that matters first, and it's actually a lot of these powers weren't even my idea. It was actually the programmer. He was like, "Hey, I want to make a fighting game, and I have a lot of these characters. He actually had a list of superpowers already, or psychic powers, and I kind of turned those powers into characters. And this was like 4 years ago when I first started coming up with these ideas. And now that I have a little bit more freedom to make YouTube content, monetize the content, I can talk about them, and I have a little bit more time to work on them. I don't have a ton of time, but as much as possible, I want to just enable myself. And you guys have heard me talk about this in previous videos, that I just want to enable myself as much as possible to like be able to do the work that I love. Because you can see, I'm just having a lot of fun drawing this. It's such a cool pose. On the right is actually the original pose, and I didn't like that pose that much, so I actually corrected it. And I like this new pose way better. He looks a lot more threatening. There's Sorbet right there. I just use her as a size comparison, but also a color comparison for the lighting. And I noticed that the lighting is coming from directly above. Because he is wearing a leather jacket, the highlights can kind of come from everywhere, really just depending on where the folds in the leather are. I'm not sure if I really picked the most excellent places for highlights there. It's something I can continue improving on, folds in clothes and highlights and shades on clothes. But I think I have gotten a lot better over the years, so it's something that will continue to be a work in progress. And I'm just, throwing in the jeans, the Tims. Yeah, they're pretty much Tims. I don't know if I can get into copyright trouble for giving my character Tims, but we won't name them Tims in once we get into the actual story or comic itself. But they're pretty much visually Timberlands. And the jeans and the sunglasses. I must have made the sunglasses, the lenses invisible just for now as I'm correcting like the skin color. I think at some point here I do a hue and saturation pass because I realize that his skin is a little bit dark, like in comparison to Sorbet. Sorbet has very, very pale skin, light skin. So and her colors are very saturated. So for Johal here, I think just to match the color, I'm gonna have to saturate all the characters. But I think that's great. Like for fighting games, it's all about the movement and the color and the visuals. I know they all have their backstories and they're expressing their personalities and through their play style. But that expression is gonna manifest itself in like cool movement and awesome colors, and that's like what it's gonna be all about. It's about turning the idea into something that like looks cool and something that we hope that the viewers and the players of this game will be able to like feel what we're going for. So yeah, Johal, like he wants to be a movie star, but he comes from like pretty humble origins. He was pretty poor, and what's interesting is that I was doing some research on sort of the slums in India, and I don't want to talk about that too much because it's a community and an area that's so separate from me. But the thing is, when I did do some research on like the city of Mumbai, there's another name for that city. I forgot the other name of the city. But there is basically a separation in the city where a lot of the city is like sort of the rich area, and then there's like a wall, and then there's like a big slum area where there's actually like so many people living there, and it sort of has its own economy. People figuring out to do odd jobs. And one thing that I found out is that there's a lot of recycling going on there because they have limited resources, so they have to find a way to organize their resources. And I thought, if this guy is living in a place like that, one thing he could do, to save up money, like he bought a leather jacket and Tim's and shades, but he doesn't exactly have a lot of money. But one of the ways he can use his powers to make some money is working as a recycler. So what he can do is he's lifting like heavy bins or, organizing like metal and glass and cardboard and throwing everything into the right place. I feel like, he would have good accuracy with throwing stuff. Or just placing things, and just working as that and saving up some money and making some decent money as recycling as an odd job. There's a lot of research I still need to do culturally so that I can develop a cool world and like origin, place of origin for him. But I do want to base it on like the slums of Mumbai. I totally forgot the name of the slum area. It has its own name. And of course, maybe even the viewers might live there or live near there and can tell me more about it. India is a very interesting culture, and it's something I actually didn't really get into more Indian culture until I started trying to develop this character. Again, it's not India, but I do want his place of origin, to be something very similar to the country of India. So I'm winding up. This was actually played at 2.5 speed. That's what I got right now. The character Johal. I didn't quite finish putting the highlights in the pants, but hopefully you got a little bit of the introduction to this character. We'll be seeing a lot more of him in the future, and all the other characters. Maybe I'll be upload more clips of me drawing and drawing these sprites of these characters, and you can get to see a lot more. But that hopefully you enjoyed that video. I'll get back to you guys soon. I want to upload more often, and just let me know if there's anything specific or any questions you guys have for me, any tutorials you want me to make, anything like that. See you guys. Thanks for hanging out. Bye bye.